could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello, everyone. Today we're meeting Robert Indries. He is a business consultant and also the owner of 8 businesses. Hello, Robert. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, Anna. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So let's start our conversation by diving into your journey of becoming the person you are today. What led you to discover your true passion in life? How did it start for you?
Um, so a passion for building things first came from my grandfather, who was a carpenter. So he used to build almost everything from wood, all of the furniture in the house. He used to build decorative things and so on and so forth. So I was always with him in, the shed when I was, very young, watching him work. I really enjoyed everything. So that's the first time I became passionate about building things. And then when I was around, I would say 10 years old, approximately, I found a book that was called The Evolution of Technology. And that book, I just loved everything about. It was so good. Such an amazing book. Changed my life completely. From that point onward, I said, oh, I really want to do this. I really want to build technology, right? And so I would say that was what led me down this path up until now. At least that's what I can, remember and figure out.
Wow. Yeah, there's always something happening during the journey where, you kind of like start becoming more mindful of what is really, that is your passion, what drives you, what gives you that fulfillment. And then you start pivoting and look into the direction that you want to go. First, you want to know what that is, and then having that vision and goal in place and breaking the steps, what requires you to achieve it. So I know you are the owner of 8 businesses, and that's impressive. But what really gives you the practice of becoming that best performer in everything that you do? What is the habits that you developed during your lifetime until now, where you every day, this is how you start your day and this is how it sets up for success from the beginning?
Mhm. So a few things here that are important with regards to the what, right? Because you said first is the what, and then how you're gonna get there. So on my journey, something that I have realized is that this might sound stupid, but most people act like this is not a fact. Time passes regardless. Time will pass. Time passes. Right now, whilst we're talking, time is passing, right? So whether I'm engaged in playing a video game right now, whether I'm engaged in building a business, whether I'm engaged in a job, whether I'm engaged in spending time with my wife, whether I'm engaged in speaking to you, time passes regardless. And so this sounds obvious, but almost everyone runs their life like this is not obvious, right? Why? Because they're in a job they don't like, they don't know what they want to do with their life, and they don't try anything out of the options that they have to see, if they might like that, right? Because at the end of the day, people are sometimes willing to spend years and years and years in jobs that they don't like, right? Because they do not pursue what they think that they want. And so what I've heard from people is, but I don't know what I want. And I tell them, that's a lie. Write down on a piece of paper the things you like to do and the things you think you would like to do as a career. And every single time they write things down, like maybe this, maybe that, but I'm not sure. Certainty you can never get in life because you have a certain brain right now. right? It's your 25-year-old or 35-year-old or whatever year old brain. Okay, guess what? 5 years from now, you'll have a different brain with different thoughts, different perspectives, different preferences, career preferences, and so on and so forth. So even if you choose the perfect job and career for you right now, that might be different in 5 years. It might be different in 10 years. So instead of saying, what is my life like, where do I want to take my life? And so, like, instead of thinking in like 50 years or 100 years or whatever people think about, right? Think smaller. Think, what would I want to do in the next 1, 2 to 3 years? What do I want to do? And then explore that, right? Like, literally allow yourself to explore that for as long as you need to. And if you don't like it, guess what? Now you're smarter than 2 years ago, right? Because 2 years ago, you had 6 options of things you could want to do. Now you have 7 options. And if someone would say, well, Robert, what if I have 10 options and it will take me 20 years to get to, what I like to do? Let me tell you something. In the vast majority of people never get to do what they actually want to do. So even if it takes you 20 years, you are twice as well off than someone that has spent their entire life doing something that they don't want to do, right? And so you're either way better off testing. And again, every year you'll become smarter about what you like and what you don't like, what you like, what you don't like, right? And so you keep testing, you keep testing. You can test in the same company or in a different company, right? It depends on, the context. So that's basically, that's the what. So whatever you have, choose something and then go for it. So these 8 businesses that I have, some of them have been intentional, like in my plan since, whatever, 15 years ago. Some of them are things that just happened to, be in proximity of me. A friend of a friend says, hey, Robert, one of my friends needs help to grow their business, and so on and so forth. And I look at the business, I like it, and we agree to become partners, right? And then I help them grow their business and so on and so forth. So this has happened a few times. That's how we got to, I think we had 10 or 11 businesses total until now. Last year we sold a couple. One of those we sold, the final price of the sale is 8 figures. So over 10 million in the sale of that business. I don't want to say how much more because that also is fictional. So the cash in hand, we got a few $1 million. And then everything else is based on how the company grows in the next 2 years. So if it continues to grow at the rate at which it was when we sold it, then we'll get a very significant amount, or part of the team will get a very significant amount. And then if not, we still, we sold for 7 figures, so that's fine. It's still a good deal at the end of the day. So if we look at what you want, again, you keep doing this, you keep being smarter and keep taking on new things. Then with regards to habits, I have a belief that most people want to do habits or want habits because they want to live their life on autopilot.
Mhm.
I kid you not. They might not say it in this way, but this is what they want. Like, they want to wake up and not be, they don't want it to be difficult for them to work out first thing in the morning. Like, they did it so many times that they just would do it on autopilot, basically. Like, they wake up, now they work out, and then they meditate, and then they read, and then they, whatever it is people want to do in the morning, right? Like, take a 3-hour morning routine or whatever. But basically, this is what people aim for. And again, even if they don't realize it when they say it or when they're doing it, this is basically what they're asking for. That I want my life, or a big part of my life, to be run on autopilot.
Mhm.
And I don't like that. I'm sorry, I really don't like that. There are enough robots, there's enough AI, right? I want to live my life in the most humane way possible, which means that this morning I might wake up. This morning, for example, I woke up at 4:30, more or less. And then I remember that at 6 I need to go somewhere. So I said, you know what, I'll sleep for another sleep cycle, another 90 minutes. So I just went back to sleep. And then I woke up and then I did my whatever I had to do. The day before, I woke up at 4 and I started working.
Mm-hmm.
The day before that, I woke up at 7. I don't care. I really don't care, right? It's like I'm not in this box of I have to wake up at the same time, I have to go to bed at the same time, I have to do the exact same thing every morning. I don't believe that is human, right? Some people can say, like, if you want to achieve huge amounts of success and so on and so, guess what? You don't want to be an Olympic athlete. The things you need to do to be an Olympic athlete, 99.9% of people do not want to do because it's not easy and it's very painful. And I can use the Olympic athlete as a metaphor for business, right? The Olympic athletes of business are the Jeff Bezos, are the Bill Gates, are the Warren Buffetts, and so on and so forth, right? The people you hear about in your news, Elon Musk, and so on. Okay, but outside of these few billionaires and whatever 1,000 billionaires, however many there are, right? There are also millions of millionaires that are not Elon Musk, but they're very happy living in the top 0.01% of wealth, right? And then they have their own schedule and then they do whatever they want all day and so on and so forth, right? And so you need to understand and put into perspective what you need. If you want Bill Gates level success, yes, sleep 5 hours a day max. Max 5 hours is a lot. Work the rest of the day. Spend 1 hour with your wife, 1 hour with your kids, and that's it. Don't work out. Don't just. Bill Gates would not eat for days, and he would just use some protein powder and just put his hand in like the protein thing and then just put it in his mouth without any water, without anything, because like I don't have time, I need to work. So if that's the life you want, go ahead. Be my guest, right? Be a millionaire, if that's your decision. And I'm not judging you when I say that. I'm sure Bill Gates is very happy with the amount of impact he has done in the world. I can also tell you at the same time, I will not work more in a day to sacrifice time with my beautiful wife. I love her. I want to spend time with her every single day of the rest of my life. I want to spend time with her, right? I want to spend time with my family. I see my family every week or every weekend, right? Either during the week or on the weekend. I spend time working out, right? I look 10 times better than Bill Gates looked at my age, right? It's like, and it's not for the aesthetics. It's literally for the health, for I want to do this. I want to have a more holistic life. And even though I spend my time very differently than Bill Gates did at this point, he was maybe, I don't know, maybe he was already a billionaire by my age, something around like 30 something, he became a millionaire. So about my age, okay, I'm nowhere there. I passed 10 million, I think, last year or something like that. So not so long ago, I passed 10 million. That's 100 times less money or net worth than him, but I feel very happy with my life right now. And I understand that if I would have worked twice as much, I could have at least been at 100 million by now, right? So let's say 10 times less than he did. Which I'm sure I would have been equally happy if that would have been my decision. If my decision would have been less wife time, less health time, less this, less that, less traveling, just work, 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 then, and if that would have been my decision, I would have been happy with that as well. So again, I know this is a long answer, but if you want to read, pick up a damn book and read. Excuse my French, right? You don't need to force yourself to read every day a page or 10 pages or whatever. If you feel like reading today, read half of the darn book and then stop reading it for 3 weeks and then finish the second half in 3 weeks, right? It doesn't matter, right? What matters, I think people put like they think that following these habits will get them to success, and if they get to the success they can be happy. Why not just be happy, right? At the end of the why not just be happy with who you are? If today I wake up and I feel like working out, I'll work out and it's going to be a very intense workout. If today I wake up and I don't want to work out, I'm not going to work out. So I have periods in the year where I work out every single day for months, not joking, months. And then I have 2 months when I don't work out. And this might sound so strange to someone, but I kid you not, it's just such an amazing life to live. So every year, at least half of the year, I work out. Whether that's every other day I work out, or 2 days rest, 2 days workout, or 1 month I work out, 1 month I don't. It doesn't matter for me. I just know that half of the year I work out, right? And guess what? Half of the year I work out is about 2 to 10 times more than the
Mm.
average person on the planet. So even as such, I'm twice as healthy, as most other people, right? And so again, I'm very happy with that. And so, for example, the last 3 days, I believe I haven't worked out, and in the weekend, I did a long workout, right? Because I really felt I want to do a workout, and I did. It's actually two. I did one a stretching session of like 30 minutes to improve my range of motion, and then I did a strength workout. So I did both, right? And so I'm very happy with that. And the reason why I didn't work out these days is because I'm very excited about something I'm working on. So I wake up at 4 a.m. I'm like, oh, I want to work on this. And so I'm not going to work out if I want to work on this cool project that I have, right? I'm going to work out when I don't feel creative, when I don't feel like, I want to work right now. Okay, let me work out instead. And then I'm going to work out. I'm going to get my juices flowing. The same day or the next day, I'll be more creative.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a beautiful life that you build for yourself. And the schedule that you're on is just gives you freedom of choosing what you want at any certain point of time. And you know that you're still, progressing, you're still taking care of yourself, and you have time to spend with your family, with your wife, to travel, do what you love, and you just enjoy life. And that's what's important. That's your priority. So I can see that's your priority. That's why you schedule that mostly in your, routine, because this becomes part of your lifestyle. And that's beautiful. It's just a lot of people, like you said, on autopilot, but usually they running on autopilot doing something that is not really beneficial for them, or they wasting time, or they distracted by social media or whatever they doing, watching TV. And basically that time goes to nothing, right? They don't build anything on the side to transition from their 9 to 5 job that they hate in order to start something of their own. And that's why for some people, maybe they need to change those type of habits into something that would be beneficial for them in order to redirect their focus to start something that will bring them that type of freedom, where they could be the one choosing what they want to do with their time. And a lot of times also people would not take responsibility of what they have so far, and they would blame people, circumstances, event, why they lacking something in their life. And without them taking that responsibility and start doing something for themselves, nothing will happen. Nobody will come and save you. Don't you think?
So a few things here. Number one, with regards to the the leaving a job and doing something of your own. I don't agree with that perspective specifically, because I believe that most people let me just put this on silent. I believe that most people should have a job. They should not be the entrepreneur. And I'm very serious about that. I'm not saying this because I need employees or whatever. No, 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 no. I'm saying this because just like you do not want to be an Olympic athlete, just like you do not want to be Bill Gates and spend your entire life working and so on and so forth, you do not want the responsibility of 10 other people's livelihoods. You do not want to deal with taxes. You do not want to deal with contracts. You do not want to deal with invoicing. You do not want to deal with collections. You do not want to deal with customer support. You do not want to deal with everything that a business owner needs to deal with, right? You don't. So stop trying to be an entrepreneur when you actually want to be an engineer, or you want to be a marketer, or you want to be whatever, an accountant, or whatever you want to be, right? Whatever you want to do what you want to do. I've had conversations with people, for example, that would make pizza, and they're like, oh, one day I'm going to open my own restaurant. I said, to do what? Well, to make pizza. Like, but you're already making pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but I can do whatever I want when I have my restaurant. Like, I can make the pizza however I want. I'm like, interesting. I've been watching you for days. I never saw anyone telling you how to do pizza. Do they tell you how to make the pizza?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know actually, they let me do whatever I want. I'm like, okay, so what do you actually want? Oh well, and so on. So the conversation goes right, and then I tell them, okay, so you want to deal with the vendors that need to give you, the legumes and fruits and so on and so forth. You want to deal with paying rent. You want to deal with finding clients. You want to deal with keeping clients happy. You want to deal with the CRM of, inviting people back. You want to deal with, the staff that comes and goes, especially in the restaurant business, right? You want to deal with the taxation again. You want to deal with the HR. You want to deal with all of that. That's what you want to do. Oh no, I don't want to do any of that. And then what? Right? So I don't agree. I very respectfully believe that the vast majority of people should have jobs, the vast majority. And I also believe that being a business owner or a CEO or whatever, these are two different roles. Many people think they're the same, but they're very different. So a CEO is a job, just like any other job. And the business owner has a job, just like anyone else has a job, right? So I really wanted to be an engineer. I kid you not. I always wanted to be an engineer. I did not want to be a business owner. And I worked in other companies, in many other companies, and I realized that they don't care about me. It's just that's it. They didn't care about me. And I worked in small companies, large companies, and so on and so forth. I've been to Russia. I've been to Novosibirsk. I spent many months there in Siberia, working for a Russian company. They're one of the biggest companies in there. No, they're the biggest in their industry. And so there, it just so happened that they were in Russia. I went there. I learned to read and write and talk in Russian, right? I learned, the pожалуйстas, the, spasibas, the, everything. Like I just learned everything that I had to learn. And basically, I I had so many experiences that I said, okay, well, you guys have no idea how to treat people. Obviously, you have no idea. Or these companies that I've been in. And so at the end of the day, I just funded my own company, which was an engineering company, because I
Mm-hmm.
was an engineer. I wanted to keep being an engineer. But then I realized no one wanted to have the negotiation call with the client, and no one wanted to create the contract, and no one wanted to do the hiring, and no one wanted to do anything in the business. So I had to do it because I was the CEO, right? And it didn't matter if I wanted to be the engineer. It didn't matter because I had a different responsibility. The moment you take that responsibility, just like you said, no one's going to come save you. If I took the responsibility to be a CEO, I have to do this. Or I give someone else the reins, or I close up the company and I get another job. If I don't want to do the HR, if I don't want to do the taxes, if I don't want to do everything that has to do with, building a business, like a significant business from which I can get salary, it's going to be very different. I can tell you, for example, in the first 3 years of me being in business, I made zero money. Zero. I made no money. I paid others salary and I paid many other people, but I myself made no money in the first 3 years. From year 4 to year 6, I believe, I was paying myself $750 a month. And the highest paid person in my company was making 5K, right? So I was in the lower half of the least paid people in the company, right? Very close to the lowest. Why? Because that's how much money we had, right? It's like I had to hire staff, I had to pay staff well, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't join my company. They would just go to Microsoft or to Google or to wherever else, right? I needed my staff and I needed to pay them well. And then eventually, I started paying myself $2,000 a month, right? This is after 6 years in business, right? And so this is the reality of entrepreneurship. And then people don't talk about this stuff, right? If I would have had a job during that same period, I would have made so much more money in the first 6 years of business. I would have made at least $500,000 more than I actually did. I'm not even exaggerating, I believe, or at least $250,000. And then back then, that was a big amount of money. Like I could have bought a couple houses, or I don't know, 5 apartments, and then just rented them out or whatever. So I didn't do that. I chose entrepreneurship not because I wanted entrepreneurship, but because I wanted to work as an engineer in a company that appreciates me and that appreciates everyone in the company, right? So I had to build my own, sadly. If I would have been given the choice to not do that and just to work for someone else, I would have all gladly taken it. And I didn't have that choice at that time. But this was over 10 years ago. So now maybe the industry's changed. You can probably find a company that treats you well and so on. Business has changed, and a lot of things changed in the last 10 to 15 years. Because this was like my career started like 20 years ago almost. And then, in the first 10 years of my career, I had issues. And then after that, I started my own company. So I did that. And then eventually it started paying dividends. And so I became a millionaire by the time I was 25. And we made over $1 million, and we had companies making over 1 million and so on. So my net worth was over 1 million. And then I just, out of pure dividends and so on and so forth and everything else, I started making more and more and more money. And then again, a year and something ago, we passed 10 million, right? So we're in an okay place right now. We could have been much farther away, but again, we had many challenges. We made many mistakes. We had people in the company that we shouldn't have hired or kept or whatever, things of that nature. So we're trying to get to a point where we can, let's say, make sure we only work with people that deserve our time and attention. And that's, I believe, one of the hardest things, because many people lie. Almost everyone lies, right? And so to find the people that you could actually trust to do great work and to, work with you and to help you and so on and so forth, it's rare. So we are lucky to have dozens of people like that. And that's why we've made millions, right? Because we have those dozens of people. If we would have hundreds of great people until now, we did hire many hundreds of people, but most of them, either are liars or incompetent or, something. And so they just pull you down. They just waste your time. You pay their salary. They start gossiping, or they, create negative energy in the company or whatever. So that happens very often. If anyone listening ever gossiped in the company or ever created negative energy, just remember, you are the problem. I'm very honest. Anyone listening, you are the problem. If you've ever gossiped, if you've ever wasted time, if you've ever been at work and then spent time on TikTok or on Facebook or whatever whilst you should be working, you are the problem. And you do not deserve a better salary. I'm sorry to tell you. And you do not deserve to own your own company, because you have not proven that you are a good employee first. And then after that, you can, run your own company, and then you will know what's a good employee, how to spot one, and what's a bad one, how is a bad employee, how to spot them, right? And so these are things you learn as, time goes on.
Wow. Yeah, you've been through a lot, but also all of those experiences through building your own business and getting the idea how to start your first business, everything came through certain challenges that you dealt with, and you saw it as an opportunity for you to start something on your own, or to express what is it that you love doing into building a business, right? So basically, you didn't stop because you faced certain challenges in life. And for some people, they could internalize it as a failure, right? They could stop doing anything, exploring or trying what they love doing. Yeah, I agree. For some people, maybe they should be employed. Maybe that's what they love doing, to find what is they're good at. But for other people, they love entrepreneurship as well. They would love to start their own
Yes,
business.
there are people like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, there are different types of people. It's just, the thing is, sometimes when you feel unfulfilled, you feel stuck into that type of job where you're at, you have to be asking yourself the question, what is it that I'm doing? Am I enjoying what I'm doing? If not, what is it that I would like to do? So you have to first connect to yourself to understand your own true desires and passion first, and then to try to explore and give yourself time, like you said, to test different things and not being constrained by time. It could take a year, 2 years, 3 years, but again, we're not keeping score here because people compare themselves to others. They look at social media and, you know, there are beautiful success, millionaires, billionaires over there, and they always kind of like judge themselves based on what they see. They don't see the behind the scenes action that's been taken for that person to come to this point, right? So all they see is the end product, end result of what is it that presented to them. And again, with us being harsh on ourselves, not giving ourselves chance or opportunity to even try and explore, this is how time passed by, and it's the most important asset that you never get back. You have to get a use of it now, here. But for you, you have to be present. You have to be aware. You have to know what you want.
Yeah, I agree fully. And when you said that people see it as a failure, right? Like see what they've done or what they've tried as a failure. Let me give you the harsh news. It is a failure. You failed. Grow up. You failed. Try again. Get back up. Do it again. Do something again. What are you going to do? Are you going to stop living? God forbid. What? If you want to keep living for 50 years or however many years, if you failed at something once, try again, right? There's this joke that my wife told me at one point. Um, if you failed at something once, the next time do it the way your wife told you to do it. but basically, it's normal to fail, and I don't understand the fear. I can't emphasize with it, because for me it's literally, I'm an engineer. For me everything is mathematical. It's such a common sense thing, such an obvious thing, that if you do things you've never done before, you're going to fail. Even if you succeed, in quotes, you haven't really succeeded as you would have if you would have known what you were doing, right? It's always a partial success or a partial failure. Like, it's never all black or all white, right? You're always on a spectrum between worst case scenario, like now you're $10 million in debt and whatever, right? And best case scenario where, oh my God, I landed on this idea, I made $100 million, right? So you're never really at either pole. You never really completely failed. You never really completely succeeded to the level of your potential. You're always somewhere. So if you said I failed, you failed based on what you wanted. But again, what you wanted was with the brain of someone that had no idea how to do what you're about to do. Mm-hmm. So to even have a goal in an industry or in something that you don't know is almost naive. Mm-hmm. Because you're like, oh, I'm going to start this business and it's going to make $1 million in the first year. Okay, why? Well, because of this. Okay, have you ever done this before? No. 97% chances you're going to fail, right? Because you've never done it before. Come on, wake up, grow up, right? Yes, you failed. So what? You're a failure in 100 things. Do 101, then do 102, then do 103, right? I failed at thousands of things. I've had so many conversations where I was rude, right? And then after the call is like, oh, I was so rude. I should apologize, right, for what I've said or what I've done. I've had so many calls with sales calls where I did poorly, right? And I realized during the call or after the call what I could have said better. Again, I could have been at over 100 million by now, right? Knowing everything I could have done better. And I see everything that I could have done better 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. I would literally be at over 100 million by now or more. Maybe I would be a billionaire. Guess what? I'm not. So what am I going to do? Just cry about it, or just take all of these lessons and move on? I have 1,000 failures until now, at least, minimum. And you have to. You as well, if you're, in your 30s, 40s, whatever, you failed at some things 100 or 1,000 times until now. So you should be used to it by now. So just stop thinking about it and start, practicing consciously, right? And then the second thing you mentioned with regards to comparing yourself to these big guys, these big names, and so on and so forth. They are there because, number one, they failed more than you have. They tried so many more things than you have, right? And they got back up every single time. That's number two. That's it. That's all, the only reason. If you look at a small company, I don't know if you've heard of them, they're called Disney, right? They're worth what? Tens or hundreds of billions of dollars, right? Literally hundreds of billions of dollars. Okay. How many people listening to this podcast know that Disney went bankrupt 7 times?
Wow.
Who knows? No one knows. They went bankrupt 7 times. They didn't fail once. They didn't fail twice. They failed 7 times. And now they're a whatever $300 billion company. Okay, that's it, right? And they didn't do it in 5 years. They did it in 150 years, right? And so the next time you look at those people, have some freaking perspective, right? On exactly how many times they failed, exactly how much do they work, how much do they sacrifice for that, right? People would look at, sometimes sports people like Kobe Bryant, whatever. You would not wake up at 4 a.m. every morning and do 3 hours of workout and then take an hour rest and do another 3 hours of workout, take an hour rest, then do another 3 hours of workout. And then only after that, spend a little bit of time with, your family. And so on and so, like so many things. I do this every single day for years and years and years and years and years, right? That is how you get to Olympic athlete level. And most people don't want that. Just like most people don't want entrepreneurship. They think they have this fantasy that they want, but most people don't or shouldn't have it. I agree with you that there are some people that do, which they love. They love being generalists. That's what a good entrepreneur is, a good CEO. A good CEO knows a little bit of finance. They know a little bit of legal. They know a little bit of sales. They know a little bit of marketing. They know a little bit of all of this. And then they manage to keep everything together, right? Like all of the ropes, all of the plates, all of the balls in the air, and so on, whatever metaphor you want to use. And then there are people that are amazing content writers. They don't want to do the finances, but they love writing content. Well, then write content if that's what you love to do. Write content. They're amazing copywriters. They're amazing salespeople. They're amazing programmers. If you love specialized work, like specializing in engineering or whatever it is that you want to specialize in, then do that, right? Forget about entrepreneurship. Do the specialist work, the technician work. So that's basically it on what you said. Those are my 2 cents.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. So it's a lot to take in, and people really have to first realize what they want and being honest with themselves. Really, you don't need to impress anybody. It's your life. If you want to live the life that you want, be honest with yourself, know what you want, and then just take steps, into getting what you want, right? And failure is just another attempt to success. It's not really something that should stop you. And everybody goes through that. And like you said, the more you fail, the better you at it, and the better you have a chance to get to that successful result that you're looking for. And you would never know until you try, and you have to see for yourself. This is how we learn. We learn through experiences, not through the stories that we listen. It's good to be inspired, motivated, but you have to go through this yourself. You have to experience it. And only then you would know what else that you need to change in order to, really get to the result that you want to go to. So it's a lot of important ideas that we discussed, and I'm glad that we had the conversation today. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and wisdom. And for those who would like to connect with you online, how can they find you?
Anyone that Googles my full name will find me. The first 3 pages of Google should be things around me, so should be easy. If they want to reach me directly, they just need to email me at robertindries.com, so my full name.com. And then if they mention the intern podcast, like they heard about me here, I promise to reply to them.
All right. Thank you so much. And as we close, what would be the thought for today for our listeners?
The thought for today for our listeners, two thoughts. One is self-awareness. Learn, like go into yourself, see what you want to do with your life. And number two, have the courage to pursue that in whatever shape that takes, whether that's a hobby or whether that's, getting a side gig or whether that's changing your job or having a chat um, with your boss to say, hey, could I please do this in the company as well, or whatever, like just have the courage to pursue whatever it is you want to do.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you as well.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned.